Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste the best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them, I'll find out what's for dinner, 714-948-0100, 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, welcome in, everybody listening in on our network affiliates, CBS, ABC, Fox, whichever, whatever, in your favorite market. Big hello to our friends on all of our independents, everybody also watching on our cable provider affiliates as well. Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, and WOW Cable Television in select markets, Hotel TV, and everybody on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Make sure you check that out, folks. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. So, of course, since our last show, there was something called the Heisman Trophy was handed out. And you know what I'm wondering is why wasn't a guy by the name of Nick Nash really in the conversation? And you say, well, why are we talking about this? Well, first of all, the guy who allegedly won the Heisman Trophy, Travis Hunter, of course, I'm sorry, folks, but this was a wrong selection. And worse, when you think about this guy, okay, well, they say, well, he's a generational player and all this other BS. Okay, that's fine. And he's a great player. I'll give it to him. But it was more of the hype from the Deion Sanders machine for media than anything. Because the reality is Nick Nash led the receiving categories basically from top to bottom. If he wasn't the number one, he was tied for one or whatever it is. Probably a good 5, 6, 7 categories. The point is Nick Nash plays for San Jose State. This is a big kid. Boy, you want to talk about a great draft selection coming up for somebody? This guy is 6'3". He's about 200 pounds. He's a senior. He's a smart guy. He stayed in school for a while. Not only is he a smart guy, but man, the guy's got great hands. And he's doing what nobody else in college football was doing as far as their wide receiver position. And he led in just about every category. So, in case you don't know who he is, again, his name is Nick Nash. Nick Nash. And man, this kid is good. If you haven't seen San Jose State play football before, I can assure you, just in his career, he has piled up a fair amount of touchdowns. We're going to say a fair amount of touchdowns. We're going to let you do the research so you can have some fun with it. And honestly, this guy is legit. So just make sure you check out Nick Nash. Because look, as a quarterback that happens to catch balls too, you know, this guy has not only had a really good completion, etc. The guy is good. He is good. He plays multiple positions as well. Now that we've talked about Nick Nash, do your homework on Nick. Let's get to the story of the Heisman voting, which it couldn't have gone any worse for the guy that actually should have won it. And of course, they say Colorado. This is from Yahoo. We'll give it to this guy, Nick Bromberg. Colorado's Travis Hunter wins the 2024 Heisman Trophy in the closest race since 2009. That's right. Travis Hunter's historic season has fittingly ended with the Heisman Trophy. Colorado's defensive back and wide receiver was named 2024 Heisman Trophy just a couple of days ago ahead of Boise State's Ashton Jeanty, Oregon's Dylan Gabriel, and Miami's Cam Ward. No question did Ashton Jeanty deserve this. But nonetheless, let's continue on. And it says, Hunter received 552 of the 901 first-place votes, followed by Jeanty with 309, Gabriel at 24, Ward with 6. Total voting was much closer than expected, with Hunter edging out Jeanty in total points, 2231 to 2017. And, of course, they say that's the narrowest margin for the award since 2009, when Mark Ingram edged out Toby Gerhardt in another race where quarterbacks weren't in the top two. And then they talk about his acceptance speech and all this other crap, whatever. All right, so be it. What Hunter did in 2024, they say, was unprecedented in modern history. He was a constant presence for Colorado on offense and defense, etc. He grabbed 92 catches for 1,152 yards, 14 touchdowns, while also rushing for another score. On defense, he had 4 interceptions and 30 tackles. All right, so be it. So the problem is, they're hyping this guy. Oh, he's the human highlight reel. No, that I believe was Dominic Wilkins, right? So they're just trying to recreate the hype. And this is the problem. When you compare these guys head to head, when I'm talking about Jeanty and Hunter, Ashton Jeanty has his team in a position not only to compete, but to possibly win a national championship. He led the world in about 10 or 11 categories, whereas Travis Hunter did not lead in any categories whatsoever. Now, except the fact that he plays on 2 sides of the ball. Big deal. Big deal. Ashton Jeanty ran for just under 2,500 yards. 5'9", 215 pounds, an absolute bowling ball. And where he's most dangerous is when he gets hit, and it's the yards after contact is when he seems to be the most dangerous. The guy just keeps on going and going. So when you look at these two, you say, all right, 2 different players. But remember, one impacted the game in one way on offense and defense, and then the other one impacted the game where he had the most touches. And essentially, if it wasn't for Ashton Jeanty being on that team for Boise State, they wouldn't be in that position where they're at right now, getting a first-round bye in the college football playoff. In fact, hosting a second-round game as well. And where is Travis Hunter in that? He's not even in a playoff. And they're in some lesser bowl game, because it seems like everybody plays in a bowl game unless your name is Purdue, if you know what I mean. But the reality is Ashton Jeanty absolutely deserved this trophy. Absolutely did. But at the end of the day, he may end up hoisting the national championship trophy. That's the one way you have to look at it. And look, the last time you've seen a defensive star win playing the corner position, that was Rod Woodson, the great Rod Woodson from Purdue University, right? 27 years ago. And he was one of those guys. Also played both sides. He had 11 catches for 231, a couple of scores during his Heisman winning season. But Woodson turned out to be arguably the best defensive back the game has ever seen. A lot of people compared it, and I even did it about a week ago or so. I compared Woodson to Deion Primetime Sanders. And guess what? It was Woodson that had better stats across the board for the most part than Deion Sanders. Deion was a really good shutdown corner, but Rod Woodson could have played anywhere in the defensive backfield. He could play either corner, and he also could play center field. He could play free safety or strong safety. And I don't believe Travis Hunter is that guy. At the end of the day, it was a popularity contest. It was a cat show. And obviously it was Deion Sanders's, maybe his endorsements, maybe his hype for television and all this other crap. Maybe it was the Deion show that got his kid the Heisman Trophy award because, yeah, he was good. But sorry, folks, he didn't lead in categories like the other guys did. Jeanty led the world, and I got to tell you, even Dylan Gabriel had one hell of a season. Dylan Gabriel should have finished ahead of him. He has Oregon as the number 1 overall, and they are certainly the best team in college football. It's going to take a monumentous effort from whomever to knock those guys off that number 1. But guess what? Boise State played them very, very tough early in the season. Yes, they did. And you never know. Maybe those guys will have a shot, and Ashton Jeanty will have his chance in the spotlight, possibly in the national title game. Now, I would love to see that one. I'm not really sure how the bracket goes. I don't know if they're on the same side of the bracket. Actually, I think they're on the opposite sides of the bracket because the winner of... Actually, it's the winner of the Indiana and Notre Dame game plays Georgia. And Georgia was the number 2 team, if I'm not mistaken. Boise State was the number 3. Arizona State was the number 4. So it would be 1-4 on one side and 2-3 on the other. So yeah, technically, Boise State would have a shot at a rematch with Oregon. Now imagine that. All they've got to do essentially is win a game. Yeah, win a game. And I think they're in there. So we'll see. Maybe 2 games. Actually, they have to win 2 games. But the point is, at least GT's got his team in position to compete for a national champion. And Travis Hunter, in the beauty contest, got himself a Heisman Trophy. And he doesn't play for a national title. That's right. All right, I guess there's a little bit of justice there. Back here with a little bit more college football in just lots more to come.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call
714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletic. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our affiliates. Television, radio. Big hello to our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the New York Yankees, the Alabama Crimson Tide, and the San Francisco 49ers. Welcome in everybody over in Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM, over at Auburn, Alabama. Thanks for joining us over there as well. We're going to talk a little bit of Alabama basketball, or better yet, a little bit of Auburn basketball, that is, over on WAUD. Sorry, folks, it is what it is. WAUD over out of Auburn, Alabama, and that would be Eagle Country. And so big hello to you guys on 1230 a.m., plus everybody else that's listening, even our friends over in the Palm Springs market, over on our ABC News affiliate friends over there. Thanks for listening in. If you are right now, thanks. All right, you know who you are? And here we go. All right. College football, we're going to continue with the ripoff from the Heisman Trophy from Ashton Jeanty. Surely got ripped off, in my opinion. To, how about this? The other team in Colorado, not Travis Hunter's squad with Deion Sanders, but how about Colorado State? They and Utah State are suing the Mountain West Conference over exit fees. How about that one?
Show me the money!
Yeah, that's what they're saying. So, two departing members of the Mountain West Conference are suing the league with millions of dollars at stake. In fact, Colorado State and Utah State filed a legal complaint on Monday in Colorado District Court in Denver over millions in exit fees that the Mountain West believes the schools owe. So, both schools are 2 of 5 that announced in September their plans to leave the Mountain West Conference for the Pac-12 starting in July 2026. Boise State, San Diego State, Fresno State are the other 3. So, the Mountain West is requesting an exit fee of $19 to $38 million per school, according to the complaint. Well, hey, look, they're fleeing, so, hey, time to pay up, kids. Now, in the complaint, Colorado State and Utah State argued that the exit fee is invalid and unenforceable. They accused the Mountain West of secretly amending league bylaws during meetings without the 5 departing members present. That's interesting. They also accused Commissioner Gloria Nevarez of striking side deals to enrich existing conference members, such as UNLV and Air Force, with exit fees from those departing schools. So those are sort of payoffs, if you will, just for sticking around. Though, the other 3 departing schools are not a part of the suit, and they hold similar beliefs as Colorado State and Utah State. The legal complaint includes a letter sent to Navarez on November 22nd from all 5 schools stating that the exit fees are invalid. So only 2 of them are actually suing. And I would say arguably they are the 2 least profitable organizations out of all of them, so they have the smallest budgets. But the conferences attempt, according to the letter, quote, the conference's attempt to impose the exit fees on the 5 institutions is improper and unenforceable. The exit fee, which is completely untethered to any harm to the conference from a member's departure, is clearly designed to punish the departing members and is therefore invalid as a matter of law, close quote. That's what the letter says. Now, in realignment struggles for members, the Pac-12 and the Mountain West are at the center of the latest conference realignment shakeup. In a rebuilding effort, the Pac-12 turned into the Mountain West, raiding the conference of 5 of the schools and nearly luring away a 6th, as in the local team here in Las Vegas. So it was Vegas and Air Force decided to remain in the Mountain West, with promises of bonus payments estimated to be more than $20 million each, money expected to be derived from exit and penalty fees from the 5 departing schools. So there's the payoff. Now, 2 legal filings now put those payments in question. So Monday's filing is the second legal action against the Mountain West. In September, the Pac-12 filed a suit against the conference over separate penalty fees that the Mountain West claim the Pac-12 owes for poaching its members. Yeah. So the alleged poaching penalty, around $55 million, was part of a scheduling agreement that the 2 leagues entered into a year ago. Now, aware of the Pac-12's possible plan to rebuild the Mountain West members, Navarez included the penalty in the agreement as a disincentivizing. Now, the 2 legal filings are a sign that the Pac-12 and its 5 new members do not intend to pay the penalty and exit fees, which combined total $150-250 million. So, the exact amount is uncertain as the school exit fees are, quote, 3 to 6 times, close quote, the conference revenues distributed for the previous year. A figure not yet known. We don't know. In fact, the filing says the schools describe both the penalties and exit fees as the Mountain West attempted to double dip by seeking 2 recoveries for the same injury. Millions of dollars that the suit says would result in a windfall for the conference. So, at the core of the filing is a familiar contention from the schools because they have not formally provided the Mountain West with notification of exit, and the schools contend that they are entitled to be a part of a conference meetings. This claim is a similar one that was used by departing members of the Pac-12 over the legal issues the last year as it stood against Washington State and Oregon State. So let's think about that. First of all, we're going to applaud we're not going to formally sign this, or we're not going to formally do this just yet because we have some things to accomplish first. So they should have been in the meeting. So we're going to applaud them with a super applause. That's right. So they get the extended applause because they were smart enough not to formally do that just yet. So they're being sued seemingly unjustly. How do you like that? So as we look at this, you say, well, despite a public announcement of their impending departure to the Pac-12, the schools say they remain full voting members of the Mountain West. Well, if they have not formally notified, then technically that's the truth. So the conference has continued to meet without proper notice and without the members, and has refused to produce to departing members the minutes of those meetings according to the lawsuit. And I have to tell you, my own background here, it sure sounds like those schools have an absolute case not to pay anything. But continuing on, according to the filing, the Mountain West is planning to withhold distribution from the departing members as a way to reclaim a portion of the exit fees. So, the distribution is not only from the conference television rights, but also includes college football playoff distribution, as well as playoff travel reimbursement distribution, and, of course, to the conference from the CFP. So Boise State, a Mountain West member, advanced to the final field this year as the number 3. The Pac-12's rebuild, meanwhile, is yet not complete. So the league needs to add one more full-time football playing member to reach the NCAA's 8-school requirement. So, the league's current membership includes the 5 from the Mountain West that I mentioned, plus Washington State and Oregon State, and non-football playing Gonzaga. And the Mountain West has reached its full membership, adding UC Davis, a good academic program. They added Hawaii, which adds a little bit of research. I think that's a good situation. They've added Grand Canyon, who has basically come out of nowhere over the last decade or so, and UTEP, University of Texas El Paso, and it is negotiating with Northern Illinois to add the Huskies as a football-only member. Others original Mountain West members are, of course, Air Force, Nevada, New Mexico, San Jose State, UNLV, and Wyoming. Northern Illinois, a very interesting ad potential. just for football is the same problem that Notre Dame has with the ACC. Because what Notre Dame does is they withhold their football, but all their other sports, are a part of the ACC. But somehow, in the grand scheme of things, Notre Dame tends to remain an independent for football. Somehow they get to host a home game in the college football playoff, which is complete nonsense. They should be playing down in Bloomington at Indiana because they don't play a conference championship game. They're not in a conference title game. They don't even compete for one. So they should never be able to hold a home game in the college football playoff, period. But so Northern Illinois would add a football only, which is the opposite of Notre Dame. They would add the football only in kind of a cheap way to, I don't know, I guess enhance their program. But they are the guys. Northern Illinois went into South Bend and beat Notre Dame. Anyway, folks, we're going to be back here with college basketball in just a few moments. Don't go anywhere. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello Americans, it's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time. That's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
That's ridiculous.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP-TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, this segment brought to you in part by the Sports Circus. Make sure to check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, recorded shows, which can be heard on all podcast platforms, Apple, Amazon, Audible, Pandora, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all the others as well. Also, make sure you check out the tabs across the top of the homepage for the Sports Circus, and one of those is Store. So check that out for all your great holiday gifts. Lots of great hats, t-shirts, hoodies, sweatpants, fleece coats, travel mugs, mouse pads, pillows, etc. Check it out at thesportscircus.com. A shameless plug, of course, for the Sports Circus, and make sure you tell them that your ringmaster Sal sent you, and you'll get an extra 10% off. All right. All right, welcome back to everybody on TV and radio. Everybody streaming also, Chicago Food Favorites. Thanks for joining us over there on Facebook. Make sure you check that out, folks. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right, college football, or college basketball. Now, we already did college football for the first couple. How about this one? You know, you can always make fun of the so-called worst college basketball team of all time, but they have a bigger priority than winning. So, only a few minutes into his first practice of the 2023-24 season, Logan Strand already had an inkling that the months ahead might be a little grim. And it was glaringly obvious to the Free Lutheran Bible College men's basketball coach that most of his roster, 18 to 21-year-olds, had hardly played before. So, Strand began assessing his team with a shooting drill. One player heaved 6 straight corner three-pointers off the side of the backboard. Strand moved down the ball handling. Well, so many had very little ability for a crossover dribble. They'd bounce the ball off their feet, and can't tell you how many balls that they lost. They're chasing after, whatever. So, look, when the coach, Strand, introduced his rebounding drill, he winced at confused expressions on the faces of several players. He might as well have been speaking in a foreign tongue when he asked them to close out the shooter, turn, and box out. And in fact, he said, quote, "It was like, oh boy, I guess we're going to be doing a lot of third grade basketball stuff, the things you usually teach young kids. How do we shoot the ball? How do we pass the ball? How do we set a screen?" Close quote. So, look, from Strand's hopelessly inexperienced team, the start of the season was like, well, Ralph Wiggum's "I'm in danger" meme come to life. So, the Free Lutheran basketball, I want to say basketball, the Free Lutheran Bible College, we'll just say the FLBC, went 0-24 against an assortment of fellow Bible colleges from Minnesota and neighboring states. 19 of those, they lost by over 40 points. One team outscored FLBC by more than 100 points. The closest FLBC came to some kind of a win was a 10-point loss in its own alumni team. So, with its leading scorer from last year's winless team departing and no experienced newcomers arriving to fill the void, this season's FLBC team is even more overmatched. Opponents have outscored the Conquerors 378-39 in their first 4 games. FLBC trailed 6-1 in last month's season opener before guard Weston Jensen rattled in a 3 from his team's first points. And the following night, the Conquerors faced Division III Crown College junior varsity team and still lost 87-11. I'm not even going to hit the laughing thing. This is just disgusting. Wade Mobley watched FLBC's men's basketball not come close to winning a game last season. The FLBC president said without hesitation, "I think last year's team would beat this year's team by 20. That's pretty bad. FLBC's historic run of futility attracted some unwanted attention last month. In fact, Barstool Sports poked fun at the Conquerors. And you know what, these guys, they said, quote, "We have found unquestionably the worst college basketball team of all time," close quote. Who gives a damn what they say? Anyway, what stories like this one, what they miss, according to the FLBC, is the school's non-traditional purpose for competing in sports. FLBC is the rare school that proclaims that winning games is merely a secondary consideration. So the mission? Why would a modern-day college athletic department prioritize anything above winning, shining a spotlight on the school, and generating prestige and profit? Well, the answer lies in FLBC's commitment to its mission. So FLBC seeks to teach young Christians to faithfully serve Jesus Christ and to prepare students for leadership roles in their congregation and communities. The Minneapolis Area Bible College athletics program only exists as a tool to help its 100-plus students achieve these goals. That's pretty cool. Now, in a section of its website entitled Our Way Behind Athletics, FLBC insists that it takes competing for championships seriously, but that playing sports for the school is about more than wins. And it says, quote, our students see themselves as representatives of the schools and of Christ. They find exciting parallels between working together on a sports team and working together to build up the church. Along the way, they discover close brotherhood, sisterhood with their teammates that extends beyond the court, close quote. That's pretty good stuff. So in many ways, FLBC's atypical approach to athletics is a byproduct of the school president's unconventional life story. Wade Mobley gave up in a tiny speck of a town. He grew up in a tiny speck of a town, in South Dakota. The son of a single mother and an uninvolved father. Basketball became a refuge for Mobley as a teenager to stay on a conservative path to avoid drugs and alcohol. In fact, he said, quote, I shot baskets obsessively, compulsively, clinically. That's why I'm 52 years old and I have a knee replacement surgery scheduled for next month, close quote. So at the same time that Mobley developed a passion for basketball, he also began to take more of an interest in his faith. Friends invited him and his mom to attend Free Lutheran Church in the basement of a neighboring town's grocery store. And the love and acceptance shown to him at the church changed his life and inspired him to become a Christian at age 18. So while Mobley studied engineering, physics at South Dakota State, he soon realized that he was good, but he didn't really love it so much. That's a lot of work, studying engineering and physics. Boy, I got to tell you, that is tough. He became the university's only engineering physics student who dreamed of coaching college basketball. So at first, Mobley envisioned himself coaching at the highest possible level. He found two ideal mentors, accomplished coaches who were also devout Christians. That would be Lynn Frederick, the coach of nearby Brookings High School, hired Mobley as a volunteer assistant for 2 seasons, and Brad Soderberg, then South Dakota State's coach, used his connections to help Mobley land a job working at prestigious camps across the Midwest. It's a pretty interesting story, folks. By the end of his senior year, Mobley learned that what he enjoyed the most about coaching wasn't so much the basketball, but it was his pastoral impulse wanting to invest in the lives of the young people as he had been invested in. So what sealed Mobley's decision to study to become a pastor was the blessing of Soderberg, by then an assistant coach under Dick Bennett at Wisconsin. And in 1995, during a conversation in his office in Madison, Soderberg told Mobley, you can always coach, you will always have a connection, and that I can always get you a job. But right now you have an opportunity to grow in your faith. So Mobley's new path led him to what is known as FLBC, and he has spent a large stretch of his adult life at FLBC's tree-lined campus on the shores of Medicine Lake, first as student, then as a basketball coach and athletic director, and more recently as the school president. How cool is that? So he says he had never really even thought of quitting. So the basketball program that Mobley inherited at FLBC is worlds apart from the one he once was inspired to lead. And of course, FLBC is a member of the Association of Christian Colleges Athletics. And about as low as you can get, he says, on the college basketball hierarchy, but that's okay. Its league consists of Bible colleges and tribal colleges in Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota. So since FLBC did not have an on-campus basketball gym of its own until 2021, the school paid for its men's and women's basketball team used facilities at Minneapolis area high schools and colleges. And in fact, Wade remembers holding practices on carpeted church basketball floors and on courts so cramped that the three-point line nearly touched. So, recently, as 5 years ago, FLBC's basketball team held 10 p.m. practices at a K-12 Christian school about 15 minutes drive away. Players would sweep up the bleachers after the high school games. Of course, they would tape the three-point lines onto the court and then practice until they just really could hardly even run anymore. But the top-level college basketballs and the programs are populated with players, of course, who dream of playing at the high level, whether it's the NBA, overseas, professional, etc., and so forth. It's not like that the FLBC, look, they don't really do that. There's nobody coming here, is what Mobley said. Nobody coming here to further their basketball career. So at FLBC, Strand and his fellow coaches don't recruit by scouting high school games or AAU games in search of overlooked prospects. Most of these players aren't options, Strand said, because they don't fit in FLBC's mission, vision, and values. So Strand's preferred alternative is to stay in contact with community church leaders and potential players and reach out to applicants to FLBC to gauge their interest in playing basketball. This is so not what we're used to seeing here, folks. And when you look at this, you say, all right, well, these guys are doing what? They're doing a lot of cool things in the community. And look, as we run through our commercial break, we love the fact that what we're trying to do here is we're trying to promote in the best possible way. We're trying to promote these schools, these kids, and we're trying to promote something that a lot of other schools can't really digest or comprehend. It just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. So in the grand scheme of things, as we look for, I guess, as we're trying to find some semblance of organization in the grand scheme of things, we say, okay, I think I know what we're getting at here. I think I know that these kids have an opportunity to do something great in a way that they're not used of thinking. And think about that, folks. How many times have you ever seen an athletic program go above and beyond the call of duty of on their basketball, football, baseball, whatever the court is, whatever the field is, maybe it's soccer, field hockey, swimming, gymnastics, whatever. When's the last time you've ever heard anything like this before? I'm going to guess never, because honestly, it's the first time that I've ever heard of this too. So this is a very different situation, and I love the fact of what they're doing here. And honestly, Mr. Mobley says, at FLBC, we don't play basketball to win games. All we want to do is we want to win in the game of life. That's how we do it, folks. So that's going to do it for this segment. We're going to be back here in just a few minutes on the circus. Don't go anywhere.
I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Folks, this segment is brought to you in part by the Sports Circus. Once again, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for upcoming guests or prior guests. Also, head over to our partners page. Lots of great partners that are over there. And we want to call out one of our favorites. That's Al's Number One Italian Beef at 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. That's Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. If you can't get there, folks, for some great Italian beef or whatnot, if you don't even know what it is, check it out at alsbeef.com. You can read all about it. It is basically a sandwich that's kind of like a French dip, but not when the whole sandwich is dipped. And man, is it good. It beats the daylights out of the alleged nonsensical Philly cheesesteak fried sandwich. This is actually cooking. Boy, it's good stuff. Again, check it out. alsbeef.com. They are the creators of the famous Italian beef. Opened up in 1938. They get the super applause. All right. Welcome back, everybody, on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. In select markets, as well as all of our cable television providers, Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Spectrum, Time Warner, Wow Cable Television, Hotel TV, in all Nielsen rated markets when they're carrying us. And also, big welcome to our friends over on Chicago Food Favorites. Check that out, folks, on Facebook. Chicago Food Favorites. Again. All right. College basketball. How about this? And you know, we are into week 7 already in college basketball. And the rankings are kind of where we expect them to be, except for the fact of number 11. We'll get back to them in a minute. But we're going to start at the bottom here and work our way up. Because as we see it, we see some schools here that have taken some big dips and some that are supposed to be there and some that are a little bit of a shock. All the way down at number 25. For this week, week number 7, Clemson Tigers dropped 9 slots to number 25 with their loss at Memphis. Michigan drops 10 slots with their 2-point loss against Arkansas. They're ranked 24th. 23rd stays the same, which is San Diego State. Their last game was a 6-point victory on the road. The Dayton Flyers, they got themselves one hell of a win at Marquette, 71-63. They remain at 22 currently. The Memphis Tigers, of course, with their last win against Memphis at home, or against Clemson at home, 5-point victory there, they remain at 21. Michigan State up 1 to number 20 with their last win at Nebraska. That was a 37-point win. Cincinnati jumps up 3 slots to number 19 with their 3-point victory at Xavier in that cross-city rivalry. Boy, that's a heated one between the Bearcats and Musketeers. Boy, a couple of great names there. How about the Musketeers? Makes me want to have some candy, if you know what I mean. So anyway, UCLA jumps up 6 slots to number 18, of course, as a member of the Big Ten now, with their win against their former Pac-12 foe, Arizona, which is now in the Big 12, and the circus continues there. Ole Miss jumps up 2 slots to number 17 with their win, 77-46. Purdue drops 5 slots to their loss at Texas A&M down at College Station, 70-66. Purdue's ranked number 16. Remember, they went to the national title game last year against UConn. We'll get to them in a minute. Houston remains unchanged at number 15 with their 20-point victory at Troy, beating the Met Troy. Oklahoma drops 1 slot despite their win, their 15-point win against Oklahoma State. The Bulldogs of Gonzaga drop 5 slots to their loss, 77-71 against Connecticut. And that was a home loss. Texas A&M with that win over Purdue, they jump up 5 slots. So basically these two teams just about flip-flop with that 70-66 win. UConn, as I just mentioned, with their 6-point victory over Gonzaga, they jump up 7 slots. And Oregon, yes, the Oregon Ducks are now ranked number 10. They jump up 2 with their win, 79-61. Marquette, as I mentioned, lost to the Dayton Flyers. They drop 3 slots to number 9. Kansas goes up 2 with their win at NC State, 75-60. Florida jumps up 2 to number 7, undefeated, with their win against Arizona State. Alabama jumps up 1 to number 6 with 2 losses, mind you. 2 losses, number 6, with their win at Creighton. Very good Creighton team, 83-75. Duke drops 1 slot despite their win against Incarnate Word, but then again, they didn't really play anybody. And up next for them is George Mason. They are ranked number 5. Kentucky jumps up one slot to number 4 with their win at Louisville. Up next for them is Oklahoma State. Iowa State remains unchanged at 9-1. They are number 3. Auburn is number 2 in America in the AP Top 25. And of course, up next to them is Georgia State, and Tennessee is ranked number 1 with their 2-point victory against Illinois, a very tough Illinois team. Their next game is against West Carolina. So as you look at these rankings, you then say, all right, well, let's take a look at these standings here. And see, the cool thing is, even the little standings, or I say the little conferences, everybody gets a shot in college basketball, unlike in college football, because we don't have a Power 4 or Power 5 or whatever. Everybody actually gets a shot. So we're going to run down these in the American East. Now, you may have heard some of these, may not. I don't know. But University of Massachusetts Lowell, they are the Riverhawks. They are in first at 8-4. The Maine Black Bears right behind them, a half a game back at 8-5. Conference play has not started there just yet. And then all the way down at the bottom is, well, the New Jersey Institute of Technology, who historically has been a really bad basketball team. They are the Highlanders. They probably should be the Lowlanders, if you know what I mean. Over in the American Athletic Conference, the AAC, it's Memphis showing the way, number 21 on top. They're 8-2 overall. Wichita State is also 8-2. The only reason that Memphis is on top is because it's alphabetical. Because Wichita State is a very good squad. The Rice Owls at 7-3. They have the Mean Green of North Texas at 6-3. East Carolina is always a tough out. They're 7-4, along with Temple out of Philadelphia. They are 6-4, and then it drops off from there. Over in the Atlantic 10, a lot of good squads come out of this conference, folks. If you don't know the Atlantic 10, well, I'm sure you know some of these schools that are in here. Rhode Island had some very good runs back in the 80s and 90s, and Rhode Island is back on top at 10-1 in the A10. St. Bonnie, the Bonnies, they're also 10-1 in Loyola Chicago. Remember them in the Final Four a handful of years ago with Sister Jean. They're 8-1, and they sit in third place ahead of the very, very capable Dayton Flyers, who are ranked number 22, who also share the same record as George Washington. The Revolutionaries, you don't really hear that one very often, and Virginia Commonwealth. They're all three of those two. Dayton, George Washington, and Vocom are all 9-2. And Davidson, now you may remember Davidson. There's a guy by the name of Curry that plays in the NBA. That's where Curry went to. They're 8-2. George Mason, 7-3. Up next for them is Duke. St. Joe's, who made a real nice run in the NCAA tournament in the last couple of years, they are also 6-4 with the Billikens of St. Louis, another very good squad. There's very good basketball being played in the A10. Now, over in the ACC, conference play has begun, and it goes all the way down to the 6-5 team, which is Notre Dame. But leading the ACC is Clemson. They are 9-2, tied with Pittsburgh 9-2, tied with SMU 9-2, and Duke is 8-2. They're all 1-0 in the conference. Stanford, yes, who is also a new member of the ACC, they also are 8-2, 1-0 in conference. Wake Forest, same 1-0, 8-3 overall. NC State, 7-4. Carolina, 6-4. And Notre Dame, 6-5. And then it drops off to Florida State, who is actually 8-3, but they're winless in the conference. Then it goes all the way down from there. The Atlantic Sun, the Florida North. Here's an interesting school, the North Florida Osprey. They jumped out of the scene maybe a decade or two ago, and it's a newer university in college sports. They didn't really have any sports. They got themselves together, and they're a very similar story as to Grand Canyon University, who is now a member of the Mountain West Conference. So North Florida and Mountain West have a very similar path, and in fact, it was Grand Canyon was coached by Thunder Dan Marley. You remember him from the Phoenix Suns back when they were a great team, back when they were playing in the 1990s against the Chicago Bulls. And it was the Bulls beating Barkley and Marley and those guys and Kevin Johnson in a very tough NBA Finals. And so also is the North Florida Osprey. They're a team on the rise, and they're leading, or they're in first right now in the Atlantic Sun. And that is over North Alabama. What? The North Alabama Lions over the North Florida Osprey. How do you like them apples? Then you have Lipscomb. The Bison are 6-4. Eastern Kentucky The Colonels are 6-5. The Jacksonville Dolphins, now that's a pretty good squad. Those guys, even with a bad record of 6-5, they're pretty darn good. And then it drops off dramatically. The Big 12, who is now a very big conference, or more than 12, Iowa State is 9-1, Cincinnati 8-1, Arizona State 8-2, BYU 8-2, Central Florida, a new member of the Big 12, 8-2, Colorado 8-2, Kansas 8-2. Mind you, they're about in 6th place in the conference, but yet conference play hasn't begun yet. Moving on over to the Big East. Also, a lot of good basketball played over there. Conference play has started. Providence in first place only because they have one win, and that one win was over the hapless DePaul Blue Demons, who can't seem to win a game in their conference whatsoever. But it is Marquette who is the class of that division. And it is Marquette, that conference that is, at 9-2, Georgetown 8-2, St. John's, the Red Storm at 8-2, DePaul 8-2 somehow. UConn is behind DePaul. Come on, folks, that's laugh-worthy. Xavier 8-3, Butler 7-4, Creighton 7-4. This is a very good conference here. Despite Seton Hall being 5-6, I think DePaul is not the class of that division or that conference. The Big Sky features Montana, Northern Arizona Lumberjacks, both at 7-4, and then of course Northern Colorado, the Bears, and the Idaho State Bengals all have 5 losses along with Portland State. The Big South has High Point in first at 10-3 over Radford 9-3, Winthrop 9-3, Longwood 9-3, and that's going to change as soon as they get into their other schedule. Over in the Big Ten, it's UCLA on top with 2-0 in the conference, 9-1 overall, Michigan 2-0, 8-2 overall, Michigan State 2-0, 8-2 overall, Oregon 1-1, 10-1 overall, Penn State, Maryland, Nebraska, and basically everyone all the way down to SC. The only 3 teams that are winless in the Big Ten are Minnesota, Washington, and Wisconsin, and they're all playing over 500. Over in the Big West, it's UC Irvine showing the way, 1-0, 9-1 overall over San Diego, the Tritons. Over in the Coastal Athletic, it's Hampton in first, but the best team seems to be Northeastern at 8-3 over there. Conference USA has Liberty on top of Louisiana Tech. The Horizon League has Milwaukee at Youngstown State on top. The Ivy League has Columbia, Marist in the Metro, and Mid-American has Kent State. Mideastern has Norfolk, Missouri Valley, Drake, Mountain West, Utah State. Northeast is Central Connecticut. Ohio Valley is SIU. The Patriot League is American, and the Southeast Conference has Florida. That's going to do it for today's show. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, and we'll see you in about 23 hours on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.